Okay, here we go.
Nice, bro.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined today by Brian Basho. He is former Marine Corps infantry, hosts the podcast I Got Your Six. Um, so let's talk. So Brian, you're Marine Corps, you're 0311, right?
Yeah, man. That first off, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem.
Glad we connected. That's why we do these podcasts and just connect with the like-minded people. And you had Scott Houston on. I talked to him a lot. He's a good dude, good egg. And yeah, man, I'm stoked. Yeah, I was a 0311. I was in from 08 to 12.
Okay, yeah, I was
So
07 to 11. So
okay.
most of our time in overlapped. You were 6 Marines, yeah?
So it's kind of a funny story. I mean, not fun. I don't know if it's funny. It's just a fucking story. But I was in 1st Battalion, 6 Marines, my first deployment. So we went to Musa Kala in 2010, and we got back, and we just got back from leave. You're not a boot anymore. You're like a hard charger. I did my pump. I love that. You're all motivated. You're 22 years old, and we had school circle company meeting, and they were saying, hey, this unit 1-6 is getting ready to deploy again in a couple months, and they're looking for some guys to cross deck. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm fucking in.
Wait,
I want to go.
what was the new unit? Because you said you were already in 1-6, right?
No, I was in 1-2 to start
Okay.
off. So I did my first pump with 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines to Musa Kala, and then a couple months after leave, like I said, school circle. Hey, anybody want to go to 1-6? They're getting ready to deploy, doing a workup, getting ready to kick off a workup. And I was like, yeah, man, let's do this motherfucker, man.
Where's 1-2 out of?
Lejeune.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were both in Lejeune. Then I cross-decked over to 1-6. Became a team leader there. It was a very senior unit too. A lot of combat experience. Those guys just got back from Marja, and it was, we didn't have that many boots. I had a team of, I call 3 knuckleheads. There were the guy from 8th and I security forces, and then I had just a boot. So it was a good experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar opportunity, but I decided to get out already. I think it was probably
So what unit were you in?
I was in 1-4 in Pendleton.
Okay.
And we did
Okay.
So my first deployment was to Fallujah in Iraq in 08. And we basically did fucking nothing. We were, fucking security guards.
Right.
My unit actually, we turned over the Al Anbar province back to the Iraqi government.
I'm sorry if I cut in, but
oh, no problem.
I'm so interested. Iraq and Afghanistan seem like totally different deployments, right?
From what I've heard, it is. Iraq was a very, I would say, disorganized enemy. They'd come out, pop shot here and there, or mainly IEDs, homemade rockets, shit like that. I was in weapons company, so we were basically out in the middle of nowhere. We were kind of, since we had the biggest reach, being mounted, we were kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But our Alpha company, who was in the city, Bravo company, they were getting a lot of indirect fire, homemade rockets, shit like that. Basically, I think Alpha company almost every day was getting homemade rockets shot into their fob and stuff. Nothing really, it was nothing accurate. They were kind of just spray and pray. Our stuff, we had we had a few snipers, IEDs, stuff like that, but we were getting hoard out, pimped out to EOD a lot, stuff like that. But
yeah, especially being mounted too.
Yeah. And I remember, so we relieved 3-6 from Lejeune, and they had done back-to-back deployments to Fallujah. So they did basically they did Fallujah, then they came home to their 7 month or whatever workup, back to Fallujah. But it was like two different Fallujahs by the time they did it. So like I guess their first time was pretty kinetic. I think that was in 06. And then 07, no, that would have been 07. And then 08, they basically did the same thing we did. Standing post, guarding convoys, shit like that. But I remember like my first day on post, right? You're a boot and you're like, I'm fucking moto and I'm going to get some. And I wish a motherfucker would try to get in, right now. And I remember like, I'm all gung ho and shit. And the dude I'm on post with from 3-6, he's like, hey, just letting you know, like, you guys aren't going to do shit here. And we're like, I was like, oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's your opinion, man. Then he started telling us, he's like, they're going to get you with IEDs. That's how they're too scared to come out and fight you. These guys, like our snipers were farmers, and they would come out, once a day, and they'd send a couple rounds, and they go do their work.
Right. I have a funny story. When I got to Musakela, so we ripped out the Brits, and I was on post with my boy Masser on another Jersey dude, machine gunner. Rest in peace. He passed away in an accident a year ago. And we're sitting there, and there's the ANA, the Afghan National Army sitting there. We're on post. We're all fucking assholes, all locked up, like ready to fucking anything that come at us. We all of a sudden look over, the ANAs, they got a goat, and they start bringing it over, and we're just kind of just watching, just not thinking of anything. They're within the PB, and all of a sudden they pull out a fucking machete, dude, and just start sawing this fucking goat's head off, dude, and the thing's screaming, and we both looked at each other, we're like, we are fucking far away from home, man. Like, it's like, I still remember that. I was like, holy shit, bro. The fucking goat's like, bah! I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was like, oh boy. But that's funny when you first get there, man. You just don't know what to fucking expect, man.
But so the dude tells me, he's like, they're gonna get you IEDs and shit. And I was like, oh, what's the biggest one that you guys found or got hit with? And he tells me that they hit an IED that was meant for an MRAP, and it vaporized the Humvee. It hit a Humvee instead, and it fucking vaporized that shit. And he's like, but don't worry, if you're in an MRAP, you're good. They haven't figured out, how to fucking get the MRAPs yet. And I was like, okay, I feel a little safer. And then I think it was like the next day, I think the last guys from 3-6 are leaving, and we're convoying them back to the main battalion camp.
Is this Afghan or Iraq?
No, this is Iraq.
Okay.
And and they're handing out our trucks, right? And they're like, okay, truck 1, this is yours. It's like the 6x, or no, it's a 4x. And then they go, 3 and 4, these are your trucks. 3, truck 3 is the fucking 6x, that's the casualty vehicle. And they go, truck 2, and I look, and they go, this is yours, and it's a fucking Humvee. And I was like, fuck.
Like, these are fucking dinosaur machines, dude. These got the flat bottoms, and fuck.
And like, I started looking at it, dude. So I sat behind the driver, and my door didn't have a fucking lock on it. It didn't have a latch on it. I had to fucking tie 550 cord and then tie it to the gunner's fucking shit. And I was like,
fucking do.
One of the last 3-6 guy that I talked to was like, hey, at least if you get hit, you won't feel it. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's, I'd rather fucking go instantly than fucking, burn to death.
Right. Yeah, man. But
yeah, and then my second deployment was a MEU, which was terrible. But with the chain of command, like after your deployment, the whole chain of command switches, right? And like they come up, the new first sergeants especially, come in and they try to shake everything up. And our first sergeant came off being a fucking cook, and he had never been in an infantry unit. He had never, like, he tried to fucking treat us like fucking pogues and shit. And he's like, you know, you're just lance corporals. And we had a fucking 8-year lance that was with us. You know, it was at that time
Salty
it
motherfucker.
was so hard for 11s to pick up.
Yeah, it's a total different. I had Colonel Milburn on, who was in charge of all special operations in the Middle East, has a book out, and we were kind of talking too, because he was in for 20 something years, and we were kind of talking about how the Marine Corps has changed so much from doing Iraq deployments to Afghan deployments as grunts, and now it's a total different Marine Corps, man. Now it's like, I know a lot of guys, the guys that were in my team that was their first deployment, my last, and they were just saying, man, this shit sucks. I knew a lot of guys, and I mean, it just, a lot of guys signed up to shoot some guns and do all the cowboy shit, but it's totally different, man. I couldn't I mean, after doing deployments, I don't know if I could. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but it just seems like I just wasn't intrigued to do all that garrison shit. And when we had to do it, uniform inspections and shit fucking suck.
Well, yeah,
I'd rather be out in the field,
the workups from a combat deployment to a MEU are it's night and day. Because on a MEU you're going to be paraded in front of all these different governments and be guests of honor and shit. So you have to look good and our combat workup, dude. I didn't even check into my unit in fucking alphas. I checked in camis, and because SOI is fucking 2.5 miles down the road from from Camp Horno, so it was like, hey, get on the fucking bus. Here, this is where you live now.
Were you in Lejeune?
No, Pendleton.
Yeah, so same thing. Lejeune, you got Geiger, SOI, same thing. Get on the bus,
Yeah, 10 minutes later, you're in your fucking camp. Yeah.
were your seniors? Were they all like combat vets or just kind of?
Yeah, so they had literally, I think, been back from block leave, from their post-deployment leave, for maybe 2 days. Okay. So they had just come back from they had just come back from Al Qaim, Iraq, where I think it was like 2 out of the 3 casualty, like KIAs from the battalion, were from weapons company. So they were fucking pissed. They were still fucking drunk and pissed off.
Right.
So, and then, a couple guys were still in the fucking hospital and shit from, one guy had, he got shot out of the turret of a fucking 7-ton, because somebody didn't. So the story I've heard is the dude jumped out. I shouldn't say the dude. The Marine jumped out of the 7-ton and landed on the pressure plate to an IED and blew himself. He got blown up. But since the door was open, the overpressure caused the gunner to shoot out of the fucking turret. And so he shot up, like, I think it was like almost 40 feet and landed and broke his back and like got fucked up. So he was still in the hospital when we got there. But, and then my seniors were still there, which they were all fucking salty. They were all, OIF 1, OIF 2.
Right.
Just, fucking
salty as fuck.
Yeah.
It's fucking dragon slayers.
Yeah, we have one guy who has, I think, you always hear in the movies, confirmed kills, and then you realize like that shit doesn't really exist. But he had kind of kept count, and he was in. Like,
I mean, it's fucking,
He was like mid 80s. He had like mid 80s fucking kill count. He was a Mark 19 gunner in Najaf.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's so much of that bullshit on the internet. Everyone's fucking Billy Badass, and I did this and that, and it's like, it kind of transitioned to getting out. It's like, it's like, it's we did what we did, but it's like, how do we, we're not in the game anymore. Now we're civilians, and we gotta have conversations like this, get to know each other, expand your network with vets, and especially Marines. We're a small group, a small circle. Everyone kind of knows each other, and even the veteran community, man, everyone kind of knows each other somewhere, has some kind of overlap and connections. But it's you know, you see all this shit. It's like, oh, I had this many confirmed kills. It's like, who fucking, you know, the fuck's that gonna help me now? You know, it's,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, been there, done that. And, you know, fuck, dude. It's like, let's talk fucking struggle and fucking, and do the hard shit now, you know, and do the talk about struggle and inspire those that, you know, in a dark spot. You know, I was in a dark spot for a while and just kind of, you know, you know, like years ago, I would never have these conversations or even thought about doing like I Got Your Six podcast and talking, and it's
oh
pretty
yeah,
wild, you know. And I encourage, you know, keep doing your thing with your podcast, and you know, it's awesome to see and help anybody out and talk
yeah.
with anybody, jump on their podcast, and you
We
know,
started this in I think it was like mid-August, because July we had one of our brothers who passed away very unexpectedly, and you know we kind of that's what kind of brought us together, back together I should say, you know, our group of guys, and then we realized we're like, dude,
group
it's
of
been
guys like you guys, the group of guys you serve with.
yeah,
Cool, man.
and we realized we're like, dude, it's been like 10 fucking years since we've like
Right.
talked. Like, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
talk to one here and there, you know, every so often on Facebook or whatever. But then, you know, we started, you know, we were like, fuck it, dude, let's start a YouTube channel. We'll just start recording some shit, and
Fuck yeah.
if it gets 0 views or if it gets 1 billion views, we don't really fucking care.
Fuck it, dude.
Um,
That's the thing. The thing how I started I Got Your Six is pretty wild. It's I started it February of, let's see here. Wow, it's gonna be coming up on two years. So I went to the studio in New York, and I was just debating what am I, you know, I wanted to do something for the community. I had to do something for me. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and I just posted one day. I'm like, I'm gonna start a podcast and talk about mental health, and just posting that was just, I was like, wow, you know, getting out of your comfort zone, you know, it's like, holy shit, you know, I'm supposed to be Billy Badass Marine, infantry, 2 deployments, you know. And I went to the studio, you know, I didn't release it for a couple months. I kept, you know, I had a studio scheduled like the first episode, and I just kept delaying and delaying because I was like, you know, how am I going to be viewed? And I had a really good buddy who was talking about, not a veteran, he's like a big brother. He started talking about mental health, and I'm like, you know, he's a big badass fucking dude. I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I launched I think the first podcast came out in like, let me see, March, April, I don't know, somewhere around there. And it was just me. I did 4 episodes solo, and I didn't have any guests. I didn't have a social media. I didn't start social media until I just hit like a year on it. And you know, I did 4 episodes. I took the summer off, and it was cool because I connected with veterans and Marines that I serve with. So like you said, you know, reconnected, you have that bond, you know, we have a
yeah,
special bond that the normal schmo doesn't have. And we should be proud of that. And we shouldn't, you know, hold it that we're better than anybody else or anything. We're just bred different, you know. And then I organized a little platoon reunion down in Philly at Cookie's Tavern. It's a pretty good party down there for the Marine Corps birthday. And a lot of guys came in like, yeah, when you know, it was cool to get support. And I'm like, you know what, felt good to do it and challenge myself a little bit. And I launched a whole new, it was like episode 5. And I was like, no, I'm going to get some guests on. And I started the social media, and I had like my first guest is Justin Egan, who's a 2-time award-winning Marine poet. And then him, and then I got Garan Jones on, who's a British New York Times bestseller. He's pretty well known in the community. And it was cool to see these guys just, and I've developed so many relationships with people I've never even met, but we all have that common bond, you know, and they're trying to better themselves and support one another. And, you know, like you said too, you know, you started to get like not for the views, who gives a fuck about that? And, you know, I just started just speaking my mind, and, you know, people started gravitating to it. And, you know, I don't have any mission to get likes or follows or anything. I put this podcast for me first,
yeah.
and talk to like-minded people like you and just other vets that just, you know, I'm not around a lot of veterans. So it was a way for me to connect with other people around the country. And I have some of the best friends now through it.
It's therapeutic to be able to just talk and
Mm-hmm.
to see that, you know, because I've been out, April will be 10 years since I EAS'd. And, I'm,
Yeah.
you meet vets here and there. And, I worked, nonprofit for, about 5 years doing, vet outreach and, helping dudes that can't pay their bills and shit like that.
Nice,
Um,
man.
but it's draining, dude. It's fucking like, you're just seeing all, like, you're really dealing with negative of like, man, I only meet these guys because they're in a shitty situation. And a lot of the guys that we've helped are now, have moved on and are doing really good in life and shit, and that feels good. But then, for every success story there's fucking 10 failures, and it's like, fuck, man. And then so I had to step out of that.
But
It was draining me too much. So I was like, what can I do now? And then being locked down, and then my buddy dying, and then coming back together, I was like, dude, let's just get on YouTube and we'll fucking chat. And
fuck yeah.
that it's accountability. I can make sure that people, like, fucking, hey, what's going on? And a lot of times we don't even talk about the fucking military.
Yeah, that's like one thing. What I really, I'm not hating on it, but a lot of podcasts is like, I really don't give a fuck what you did overseas. It's like, yeah, we've all pulled a couple triggers, gotten some gunfights, boom, hit a couple IEDs, and it's, how do we let's share stories to see how they're adapting. Maybe they share their story. And because the thing is, the stigma, it's so much better than it was, but it's still, it's, you come out of this culture where, if you say anything, you're weak. Like, if you complain about, not complain, but say something that, your feelings or something, you're fucking weak. But
Yeah.
it's actually the total opposite, man. And it's just amazing when you start sharing your story, start talking to other vets. Everybody in this world is struggling in some way, non-vets or vets. And it's really important you can't bottle that shit up. Right. And the best way to do it is connect to people that get you. You always hear vets, well, nobody gets me, or, I was like that. I'm like, say other vets. I always want to, talk for myself, but it's so important to just, I didn't even I would never, I hated social media. I still do, but now I'm like on social media all the time, just posting shit out of my journal or just speaking my mind, or, and the amount of people that are out there, it's just been awesome. And, I'm going to relaunch the podcast in a couple weeks, and I got a studio, and it's just, I just enjoy it, just talking to other vets. And, all I'm doing is just shooting the shit. There's one of my guests that came on, Steve Ralston, is a former SEAL. We're just fucking rapping, dude. And there's too much fucking fake fluff shit out there that people think they have to have this image. It's like, fuck that. Be you, and fuck what people think, man. If you're struggling, struggle. We're all struggling. It's just some people are better at hiding it than others,
Yeah, like, I think the first big guest that we had on here was Scott Husing, and it was like, man, oh, he's a fucking major, and he's, company commander, he's a best-selling author.
He's cool as fuck, dude.
And then you talk to him, and he's just a dude, right? And
yeah,
he ended up hooking us up. The first guy he hooked us up with was Ryan Hendrickson, who I would recommend if to look him up if you don't know who he is. He got fucking Green Beret, got his leg blown off in Afghanistan, reattached. 15 months later, he's back fucking in Afghanistan, proving what the fighting spirit is. And I think he's actually currently in Afghanistan right now. But he has a book out called Tip of the Spear, and he was cool as fuck.
I've talked to him on. He follows. I've talked shoot the shit with him too. Yeah, I've seen him.
He's cool as shit. Who else?
Scott's been on. He's come on my podcast last summer. He's that dude does so much for the community, man. He's such a good dude.
Yeah, he hooked us up with a guy, Nick Velez, who was a saw gunner with him in Ramadi, who owns a few restaurants out here called Bastard's Canteen.
Nice.
He runs and operates SaveTheBrave.org. He fucking hooked us up with Eddie Wright, who fucking got both his hands blown off in fucking Fallujah. like, and they're all cool as shit. And like,
Right.
you know, in my mind, it was like, man, like, how am I going to compare to these guys? But then you realize, like, you don't have to compare. We all did our own shit. We all fucking, you know, we all lived our own lives, and we just connect and talk, which is
right.
therapeutic, I think, for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, the veteran community, yeah, there's a lot of good eggs and there's a lot of bad eggs. There's some people that just want to fucking, you know, you could see that they're full of shit, and they just want to, you know, get their name out there, sell whatever, you know, shit they're doing. But there's a good amount of people that are authentic and really, you know, it gives people, it's given me a purpose again to do I Got Your Six and kind of keep me driving and talk to other vets. Like I said, I'm kind of like a fucking parrot and I repeat myself, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't usually, I don't know. I've been on a couple podcasts and I'm not tooting my horn, but I just, you just get a vibe with people. And, you know, there's a lot of people that have like, hey, can I come on your podcast? And I'm just like, who the fuck are you? Just to sell your fucking soap or sell your fucking gear or sell your fucking, your life book and fucking, I just don't care, man. Like, if you're a fucking good egg, you're a good egg. And, you know, I don't know. It just, there's some people think that like, just because they're a veteran and it's like a competition, I shot more people than you. Fuck that, dude. It just really comes down to, you know, supporting one another and just kind of just share struggle. And you know, I'm not gonna knock anyone's hustle, but it's just the way I fucking feel, and I just try to be authentic, you know.
Yeah, that's what, you know, a big hiccup for me was, how do I ask people to come on my podcast, right? You know, I don't want to be that douchebag that's like, oh, I got a podcast, you know, I want you to fucking come on. And then I was like, fuck it, dude. The worst that they could say is no. And I would say out of, you know, I started getting on Instagram, and I'd find people that I liked or people that I wanted to have a conversation with, and be like, hey, I have a podcast if you want to come on. Most of them, you know, like fucking celebrities and shit, they didn't answer. But the ones that do are like, hey man, you know, I can't do it right now, I'm booked, but you know, I'll try to get in. But I could never imagine asking to be on somebody's podcast. That would be,
yeah, it's weird, right? Like I always thought that was like a code, man. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's like I've had some fucking dope people on my podcast, and that's, you know, I try to get, you know, just people that I vibe with, right? Like I don't want to just do it and have like a, you know, like you said too, like we just float, like we're just having a conversation. That's the way it should be. It's basically sitting at a bar, you know, with a vet, but we're behind microphones and just shooting the shit. It's not about, hey, you know, I'm not here to fucking toot my own horn, or I think it's important, you know, it's the community, and I try to fix me, and then hopefully by me inspire someone to talk about. And that's all I do, man. I don't, you know, if I issues or some bullshit that people haven't even confronting their own demons. And you know, I think the best medicine is for our communities, just share and talk to one another and just kind of listen. And you know, hey man, you know, I went through that same shit, you know. And it's yeah, man, that's just kind of how I roll.
Yeah, we did a live stream for the birthday this year.
I saw that.
And I had so many dudes fucking message me after, being like, dude, that was fucking awesome. And I was like, right? Like, you know, I was fucking, we were drinking, I was smoking, fucking, like my wife kept coming in and being like, hey, you need to calm down. Like, you need to quiet down. I was fucking screaming at the computer.
Like, this is my birthday, man.
But it was like, you know, it felt like, you know, some of these guys I hadn't talked to since fucking I got out. And
how great is that though, to reconnect with people, man? It's like
it feels like yesterday. Right? It feels like, you know, maybe we had a 72 or something, and you know, you haven't seen them since Friday or since Thursday night.
It's so awesome, dude.
But yeah, and then like,
I love it,
because like, you know, I've wanted to do a podcast for a long time, but I was the one standing in my way. Was like, man, I don't think anybody's gonna want to hear what I have to say. I don't want to fucking put my business out there.
Fuck them.
And then, like, the big thing was, I value the guys that I served with opinions, right? And I didn't want them to be like, dude, what the
Mm-hmm.
fuck are you doing? Like, oh, you think you're Joe Rogan now or something like that. But I would say 98% of the feedback has all been positive. Has all been like, hey man, that's a fucking great
right, yeah.
conversation, or fucking, a couple of those guys have asked to come on, and it was like, absolutely, dude, fucking, I just didn't think they would be
Awesome.
interested. That's why I didn't invite them. But yeah,
Right,
fucking
right. Yeah, I did that same thing, man. That's why I kept delaying the release. I'm like, what are all my, the dudes that are gonna think, and and I feel like the best things happen when you truly do it for yourself and get out of your comfort zone, man. It's like, and just the reception I got is I got everyone backed it, and everyone was listening. It was cool, like it's a badass motherfuckers, dude, and they were just like, when's the next one coming out? And it was like cool. They're the ones that encourage me to just kind of, my company Gunny and my first deployment, he lost his leg and whatnot. Well, I don't want to go down war stories, but he was a sniper fallujah. He's just a badass fucking dude. And we're just shooting the shit. We reconnected. I went down. He's working at Quantico, and I went down and stayed at his house. People are like, you want to stay at fucking Gunny's house? I'm like, yeah, dude. We fucking drank some beers, had some fucking like moonshine or some shit, homemade wine. I don't know what the fuck we had in the basement. And it was amazing, dude. Like
yeah,
3-hour conversation, bro. And to hear him at the end, he's like, people are gonna hate. Yeah, of course you're gonna have haters, man. And like, who gives a fuck, man? But the ones that want to change, and they're gonna be there and they're gonna listen. And that's why you always got to put, fuck what everyone thinks, man. And that's, easier said than done. I'm still working on it, but this podcast forced me like, I just don't really give a fuck what people think, and that's,
yeah,
you put yourself first, man.
yeah. And people only have the power over you that you give to them. If you
Right.
you listen to their critiques or their bullshit and you let it affect you, then yeah, you're gonna suffer. But you know I think our biggest fucking we did a podcast. It was one of our earliest ones, with our old my old platoon commander from my second deployment, and we just ragged on our first sergeant. And my first sergeant, or fucking, he messaged me, and he fucking called me every name in the book. He's like, you try to
Oh,
fucking
really?
he's like, you tried to trick me into fucking coming on your podcast. He called me I believe the analogy was a fox in the hen house. And I was like, no, dude, you got it backwards. Like, I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain, or to, tell your side of the story. Cause, I've never been a fucking first sergeant. I've never
Right.
fucking, yeah.
He's probably pissed. He's probably just pissed that as we're talking about. But yeah, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's just naturally, but the amount of like officers to my battalion commanders, two of them from 1216, and then they're like, oh, I'll connect you with this guy, and it's just the networking is just amazing that or people,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about who you surround with and talk to, and it's just it really does make a difference. Like I talked to Justin Egg, and I'll go back to him. He's a 2-time award-winning poet, and I just partnered with him. He started a nonprofit called Stand to Change the Narrative, which is like change the narrative of people think of vets. And it's a lot of literature, and he's a good dude, and we talk a couple times a week, man. And I've never even met him. It's wild, like, but we know each other, and it's we talk about, it's like, oh, it was like it was like a online dating thing, man. It was like love at first sight, bro. But
Yeah. I mean, fuck, dude. I've met people over Zoom, but I feel like, in the 2 hours or whatever that we talked, that if we were to meet in a bar or something, that we would have a great time, and, like I said earlier, it's all the fucking power that you give people, man. If,
right,
and you're not going to be friends with everybody. It's fucking, like there was guys
well,
that I went to war with that I wouldn't fucking piss on if they were on fire. But I would,
right,
I
and
mean,
that's
I would, I shouldn't use that analogy, but I wouldn't, I don't know. I would, I guess, sacrifice myself for them simply because of the Marine thing. But as a person, I don't fucking like them. I don't, respect them. But it's, there's
Yeah,
fucking
man. I mean,
7 billion
anybody that
people in the world.
serves,
You're not gonna fucking
you
like
shouldn't
everyone.
have. No, fuck cares. It's like, especially now in this world we live in, everyone's so fucking sensitive. It's like, if you don't like my podcast, then don't listen. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna
Yeah.
affect me or impact my life. Like, I'm at a point now where I'm growing, where I'm doing this for me, and I want to be around people that know struggle, that are trying to be better humans, and it really is important to get a tribe. And I didn't know what a fucking tribe was until I did a couple podcasts, and by the podcast, talking to the people that have been through similar situations. And we all struggle again now, man. It's you're born and not born, but you're brought up in a warrior culture, and it's tough to come home to a society like this now. And it's you gotta, that's why I didn't really think of like a some fucking name for the podcast. I was just sitting there and just like, I got your six. And it's like, we can transition that out of battle to coming home, like, I got your six. And it's really important too, especially with the veteran suicide. And it's you gotta want to change. No one's gonna fucking do it for you. And it's not doing the fucking stupid 22 push-ups a day and all that bullshit. But it's people gotta want to change before anything, and understand that you're not alone, and keep having conversations and podcasts and other initiatives that are actually impactful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's I said earlier, I did some nonprofit work. Started in 2015, and for the 4 years prior to that I had been out, man, it was just fucking miserable. It was, learning how to deal with
Yeah, man.
myself, learning how to be alone. Or, I was married and had a kid, but basically in my world I was alone, right? Because two is one and one is none.
See, that props to you. That's so much harder for people that get out and they have a family. I
Yeah.
don't. I'm a fucking just some bachelor scumbag in Jersey City. And I think about that.
If you're gonna be a bachelor, that's a pretty good place, right?
Yeah, was, but now, like, I'm on Tinder and people are like, yo, girls are like, you want to do a Zoom date? I'm like, what? I did one. I did one Zoom date, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I do Zooms for podcasts. How bad could it be? I didn't set up my microphone and all that bullshit. But I get there, she's like, see like some candles burning. I'm like, whoa, this is a red flag, man. I'm fucking. Yeah. She's probably fucking doing some fucking voodoo shit on me or something. I don't know.
This fuck.
Yeah, man. It's just yeah. You gotta have humor too. We're fucking. We got through humor too, through like like some of the shit jokes that we would say in the Marine Corps during like the shittiest times is like the memories that I miss.
Oh, like
now, yeah, it's like it's like
that was the feeling that we went in. When we first started talking about doing this shit, I was like, I want it to feel like we're in the smoke pit again, because you come off a mission and you fucking you check your trucks and you check your gear, and then generally everyone goes to the smoke pit, and like that's where we would do our debriefs most of the time after a mission or whatever. But man, like the amount of times that I've cried,
smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, the amount of times I've cried laughing in a fucking smoke pit is like, if I could bottle that feeling, and it would probably be like a fucking the most addictive drug in the world, to just be around like-minded people, fucking with no filters, no censorship. Fucking, you could say whatever you want. If somebody gets mad, you guys might fucking yell at
well,
each other
that's
for minutes.
Well, that's.
But yeah.
But that's the other thing too. It's like, I don't want to be around. You're not around the right people if you had to be careful what you got to say.
Oh, dude, I got in trouble at the VA for dropping too many rape jokes, and they were like, your humor is possibly triggering to some people, and I was like, well, then tell them to walk the fuck away. Like, I'm not. It's not like I went to a fucking a wheelchair convention and you know, these people can't escape the situation. Like, you got to man up. And that's when I realized that
well, I mean,
the VA programs weren't for me. You know, I was getting in trouble for my humor.
What would you end up doing to get? Yeah. Well, you know, that's small circles, man. I have a group of friends that I can count on one hand, and I don't want to go somewhere where I got to put on a fake smile. That's not for me, you know. And it's you know, I'm not saying that to try to be a fucking inflate myself to be a badass, but it's just you know, I'm gonna be 34. It's like, how much time, you know, thankful for every day getting up, and it's like, why am I gonna surround myself with some people? I have to act a certain way and I can't be myself. So you see what you get with me. You don't like it? Oh well, fuck you. You know, I'm gonna do me. You know.
Yeah, and you know, sort of along the same lines. I have maybe probably less than a handful of friends, of real friends. You know, not including the guys that I fucking served with, but like here that I can, you know, call and they'd be at my house in 30 minutes or whatever. But you know, they're all fucking vets. Most of them are Marines. Most of and most of them are fucking infantry Marines, because we, you know, there's Marine and then there's infantry Marine. There's fucking grunts and there's pogues. And grunts are, you know, that's why I like fucking vet TV, dude. Fucking, I laughed so fucking hard watching vet TV, and I was like, oh, I want to show my wife this. She'll think it's funny. And she just sat there and she's like, I don't get it. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had Tim Jensen, the guy from Grunt Style, on, and they just teamed up with Vet TV, and I just saw on YouTube they had Best of Vet TV, and I didn't know it. You know, I'm just kind of watching it, and you know, I wasn't gonna pay anything for it, but I just saw the other night some of the best of the scenes. I'm like, this is fucking so hilarious and so wrong, and it's cool, you know, and. You know, you'll get other vets that like hate on like Vet TV or whatever, because you know they're crushing it. But it's yeah, that humor, man, that's what we miss. And you know, it's humor like with Veteran with a Sign. Do you follow them at all?
I've seen some of the stuff. I saw you know, I watched the like the Black Rifle Coffee dude's podcast and stuff, and he's been on there.
Yeah,
like, dude, if it's funny,
there's my boys.
If it fucking makes you laugh, dude, I'm in. I fucking, the darker the better. Right. I'm happy.
Right.
You know,
I mean, it's
fucking Range 15 is one of my favorite movies. It's, you know, it's such a kind of, you know, I guess you classify it as a B movie, but it's so fucking funny, dude. Like all the inside jokes and shit, and like, you know, speaking of that, I think here within the next week or so, I'm working on it. Is having Jared Taylor on, who's from Black Rifle, and he started Article 15 Clothing. But he's fucking hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, fuck it, dude. Life's too fucking short. There's too much shitty shit stuff in life to be fucking serious. Like, there's a time to be serious, and most of the time, you know, fucking joke around. As long as your shit's fucking good. Right? Like, if you're squared away, dude, fucking do what you gotta do.
Right on. Yeah, man. It's so what do you got next with the podcast? What's the you know, I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow. But what do you guys got planned for this year?
So you know, I think our goal this year is we're gonna put out some so our vision is, you know, we have our YouTube channel, right, which is called Libo Team 5. And the podcast is just going to be one kind of series that we have. We also want to do, you know, some short videos and
nice, bro.
Some shorter kind of production stuff, because, you know, that was my big thing when I was in, was fucking, like, I love movies. So every payday I would go to the PX, I would buy just like 2 random movies and I go watch them.
DVDs?
Yeah.
I'll add a funny thing. I saw something the other day. It was like, my life is kind of like the you go to Walmart and see the $5 DVD bin all unorganized. That's my life. I was like, that's fucking great.
Well, so, you know, and I was that's how I would connect with dudes. That, you know, somebody had mentioned a movie, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, dude, I love that movie. Have you seen this movie?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, I've seen that movie." And I'd be like, "Okay, we're best friends now." And we
Nice.
fucking, you know, we'd sit and, you know, I started writing, you know, a couple screenplays and shit. But when I got out,
Nice, man.
it's like all that fucking motivation and sort of that inspiration, that spark just fucking kind of dimmed out for a long time. And
Right, man.
then,
Yeah, no,
you know,
it's
I got out and I went to film school. I fucking, and a semester and a half into film school, I was like, dude, I just don't feel it. And, you
yeah,
know,
man. You know,
well, it could have been I was going to film school in San Francisco where fucking everyone hates fucking it's all liberals and fucking, you know. And I'm not political. I don't give a shit. I think everybody's fucking the country up. So
yeah, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, you know, and people think that just the way, you know, they think something that somebody else should feel that way. It's like, no, it's like your opinion is not my reality. I posted that a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or two, whatever.
yeah.
But it's, I have the right to fucking think and do whatever the fuck I want. If it offends you, oh well, that's your problem. Deal with it.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know, man. It's,
Well, it's like, you know, I have the right to offend you, but you also have the right to walk away. You know,
but I
you
also
don't.
have the right to how I want to take it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Is that's a big thing that gets me, is people being allowing people to tell them how to think. And like, you should
Mm-hmm.
feel this way about this issue. And it's like, no, I'm gonna feel how I feel about this issue. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
don't.
Like,
Yeah,
especially coming from the fucking military, and they're like, oh, you were in the military, you must know about this shit, or you must automatically be Republican, or you must be fucking pro Trump, or fucking. And I was like, dude, I don't give a fuck. Trump,
well,
you
let them
know,
think whatever.
I've never had a president knock on my front door and be like, here's your meal for the next week. It's like, no, dude, fuck you, dude. Like, that dude lives in
All
Washington,
politicians.
D.C. He doesn't fucking affect me. But yeah.
No, I mean it's like, you know, everyone has their political views, but at the end of the day, who wins president is not going to affect you. How your depression or your anxiety is. Like, stop fucking scapegoating shit.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. People are like, well, this is going to change. No, it's really not. It's how you take whatever's presented to you, and whoever's president is my president. I'm gonna support regardless. Do I have different opinions? Yeah, but that's me, and people are entitled to theirs. It's not gonna make me think differently of them, unless they're trying to burn the American flag and all that bullshit. Then yeah, you're a piece of shit. But I just, you know, whoever is president, and you know, and whatever, it's just not going to fix your own problems. You know, and people think that's, you know, the world's going to move on, and we're going to still do the same shit the next day. So
Yeah. I
and you
thought,
know, everyone thinks,
like you said, right? You know, you you can't fucking. It's almost like people or it's not almost. It's kind of, it's what people are doing. They, you know, the past 4 years, Trump has been a built-in excuse, right? Of like, oh, you know, why can't I pay my fucking phone bill this month? Oh, well, Trump fucking cut jobs and he fucking da da da. And then before that, it was Obama, and before that, it was Bush, and before that, it was Clinton.
it's going to be the same shit all the time. You
Yeah,
know, and
you know, it's no, dude, it's your fault you can't pay your fucking bills. It's your
yeah,
fault that you fucking are fat or depressed, or fucking, you know, you fucking smoked for 40 years and you got lung cancer and you can't pay for your fucking visits. Like, it's not, it's stuff. We have to look at introspectively instead of fucking out. You have to look in.
mm-hmm.
You know, fucking. I remember I was in Iraq for the '08 elections, the fucking when Obama won the first term, and it was like, like, we didn't quit. We weren't like, oh, Obama won, we're not fighting for this guy anymore. It was like, no, dude, you do your fucking job. And like, I remember I was being medevaced out when he did his inauguration, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, and
What
that's,
happened?
I broke my foot.
Oh fuck.
So like, I remember sitting there watching, you know, the inauguration on the fucking news, and it was like, oh, well, good for him, you know. Now I'm gonna live my life.
Yeah.
But
At the
yeah,
end of the day, it's fucking America. We live in a great country, and it's I mean, everyone being locked down and social media thinks, you know, you have a bunch of people with no real life experience thinking that they're you know, fucking making a difference. It's like, you know, I did something last month. It was Navy SEAL Mitch. He has a foundation called Adopt a Cop. He's a jiu-jitsu MMA fighter,
Yeah, I
and
saw
what
that
they
post
do
that you
is
did.
it's a foundation that's actually making a difference, and it's training cops. Yeah, it was awesome. And you know, it's there's so many motherfuckers that want change, but they don't do shit. They sit on their ass, and you know, it's I'm all for change if there's action, and there's too many motherfuckers that just think by updating their fucking Instagram story that's their difference, and like they're this fucking celebrity or something I should have listened to. It's like, motherfucker, you went to college right after high school, and you know, you never had a fucking rough day in your life. I mean, they probably did, but they don't have real life experiences. And I listen, your opinion's not my fucking priority. So I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion, but it's not gonna. I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, and you know that's I remember, you know, growing up, and you know I just turned 31, so I was born in '89. So you know, kind of in that gap of the technology, you know, super technology literate people, and then the people that couldn't figure out how to do fucking shit on a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically everything that I had learned about technology, I was self-taught. You know, just sit down in front of a computer. Like I taught myself how to type. I taught myself how to, you know, use Photoshop and shit like that, just by fucking around with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, man, that was such an easier time when, you know, if somebody wanted to give you their opinion, they had to come and tell it to you. You know, and then, but now you log on to Facebook, and you know, I get fucking 500 different people's opinions fucking shot into your fucking brain daily.
Whatever, you know. It's
Yeah, so like during the beginning of this pandemic shit, I deleted my fucking Facebook, I deleted my Instagram, and I was so fucking happy. It was like, man, like there's no outside influence. There's fucking I'm not hearing fucking, you know, idiot, you know, fucking idiot A arguing with idiot B about some trivial, stupid fucking issue.
don't even, you know, it's just like people, you're gonna have haters that, you know, every now and then I get a stupid fucking comment. It's like, all right, oh really? And I do this one thing, I don't even acknowledge them. It's best advice I got from the guy that came on my podcast. He's got a really good podcast called Soft Bad Monkey. Steve Ralston and Jason Delgado too. He's a Marine sniper, has a book out there, and awesome dudes. And it's just like he gave me the best advice, because you get so worked up what people think or say online. I'm like, you know, the best advice is he posted something, and I used it too, is block, unfriend, unfollow. Don't even acknowledge, man. It's the best thing you could do. And it really was a good piece of advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I very rarely post on anything, just because, you know, I feel my opinion is my opinion, and
yeah, but if you want to fucking post something, post it. It's your page. You're entitled to do that.
Oh yeah, but I'm not like, you know, I shouldn't say I don't post. I don't comment. I don't, you know, do a lot of that sort of shit.
That's fine. Yeah.
But
you're not a keyboard warrior.
Yeah, the other day I commented on Donald Trump Jr.'s post on Instagram about fucking Alec Baldwin's wife, it coming out that she's not really Spanish and that she's been faking for like 40 years. And my comment was, being married to him, I'm sure that's not all she's faking, right? And I got fucking, I forgot to check, and I logged on, and fucking my notifications just lit up, and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I had forgot that I fucking posted this. And there was like, oh, well, Trump fucking this, Trump this. And I go, I didn't fucking say a word about Donald Trump. I didn't fucking bring like every argument now seems like within probably 5, you know, fucking back and forth, somebody brings up politics. And it was like, I didn't mention Donald Trump's name. I didn't fucking do anything. And so that's when I was like, and I'm done. I'm fucking, you know, I use it to keep up with my friends and family. Mm-hmm. And, you know, because I'd like to know where my friends and family are. I'd like to know that they're safe.
And the podcast thing, you know, you reached out and we connected, and that's pretty much what you know, there was a little time where I was getting into it, you know, with all the protest and all that shit and whatever. They have the right to protest. I just didn't like when shit businesses were getting burned, and that was my opinion. That it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to change my opinion because of how you view me. And yeah, I mean, I'm basically on here too, is like you said, friends, family, and then to connect with, dudes like you and other vets, and, get on the podcast and shoot the shit, and all the other shit is just a bunch of fucking little whiny bitches just fucking using it as keyboard warriors.
But I think we're, I was kind of shitting on social media, but we're very lucky to live in this time because we can keep up with the guys that we served with, the guys that we care about. Think of after World War II, if you didn't have a mailing address, you never heard from that dude again.
Right. And the other thing too is there's some of the baddest motherfuckers out there. They don't have Instagram. We live in a society where if you don't have likes or follows, that you're nobody. It's like, dude, some of the baddest motherfuckers I know don't even are not even on social media. It's just because someone doesn't have followers or likes or is engagement doesn't mean you should view them a certain way. That's just the way they chose to live their lives. And
yeah, to like fucking General Mattis. General Mattis doesn't have fucking social media, but how many guys would fucking die for that dude? How many? I named my fucking kid. I named my second son after fucking General Mattis.
How many kids you have? You said
3 with the 4th on the way.
Jesus Christ, it's like the fucking Brady Bunch.
Yeah, but so my second is named Mattis James Nard, and Mattis for General Mattis. James was for my dad, whose first name is James. It just happens to be General Mattis's first name. But I sent General Mattis when he was SecDef. I sent him a letter, and I was like, hey, just letting you know, like, I fucking named my kid after you. Like, you have such respect in the military and in the warrior culture. And dude, he sent me back a fucking signed picture of him with a fucking note that's hanging up in my kid's fucking room.
Nice, bro.
And I was like, dude, this is the Secretary of Defense. He could have, been like, oh, that's great, fucking trash it. But he sat down to personally sign this shit for, some Lance Corporal. Fucking
That's cool. That's cool, man. Yeah, man. There's a lot. I connect with so many vets that are, well known and whatnot, whatever, but they didn't forget where they came from. They truly want to help out other vets. And there's also, like I said, bad eggs that won't give you the time and day. And it's, there's a lot of Hollywood Marines, right? No, but that whatever that's they chose to do. But not gonna knock anyone's hustle, but that's just not what I'm about.
Yeah, speaking of fucking Hollywood Marines, you're a Parris Island kid, right?
Yeah.
So I've never been to Parris Island. I've always.
So are you from California?
Yeah, I'm from California.
What part?
It's kind of north central. I'm.
What the fuck is that? It's so big.
Basically, so I am an hour and a half east of San Francisco.
Okay.
And then kind of an hour and a half south of Sacramento. So it kind of makes like a triangle.
My stepbrother just moved to California out actually this last week, and people are like, you're fucking moving there? It's like, yeah, whatever. We went out there for a job and a girl. He moved. I'll be heading out there. I think he's gonna be in like Napa
Okay,
Valley area.
Yeah,
so
that's
how far are you from that?
Maybe 2.5 hours or so. But so California people think of super liberal and kind of hey,
I'm so fucking tired of hearing these
hippies
fucking
and shit.
Liberal and all that shit. Like whatever.
But the place that I'm like where I live, it's all farmland. We are it's very community centric. I would say more conservative where I live, but California is basically run by San Francisco, LA, San Diego, the big cities.
I had early on I had these dudes that do motorcycles for vets last year, Sinners and Spinners. I'll send you them. I think is it Oakdale, California?
In Oakdale or Oakland?
Oakdale, I want to say.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking 20 minutes from where I live.
Oh, I got to connect with these dudes. Awesome dudes, man. Funny podcasts. They smoke some weed. They work on bikes. They're vets. They struggled a little bit. And just good dudes that I've been following. I'm glad I connected with. But yeah, I have to connect with them. They're close by, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I'm another group of veterans, walk and talk. They're out in California. There's so many good groups everywhere, man.
Oh yeah, but I want to talk Paris Island, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've seen, obviously Full Metal Jacket, fucking the old, kind of recruiting tools and shit about, the island and shit. So, sand fleas, are they real?
Fucking horrible.
Okay.
Fucking horrible, dude.
So
horrible. Look at me, I'm so fucking dramatic.
So you get sand fleas, you guys get bad weather, right? Depending on the type of year or the time of year.
I actually had an extended stay at Paris Island. So I had a hernia surgery. No, I had a hernia surgery before I went. And they're like, "Oh, do you want to go next week?" I was fucking out of shape, a little fucking punk ass. Dude, I was so out of shape, dude. They put me in the fucking fat platoon, bro.
You got pork chop platoon?
Yeah. And, I was like, fuck, and I was like, what? This is the first time where, mommy and daddy aren't here to save me. So I was like, I'm fucking, you want to be a Marine? You got to really earn it, man. And, I left fucking Paris Island doing like 17 pull-ups, just fucking, just determined.
Did you go straight out of high school?
No, it's a funny story. The early podcast I had, I talk a little bit about this is, I went to, I played football and played junior college, and I went to a military college, and I ended up just quitting, and I have a little snippet. I call it Brian's Rock and Roll Tour. And I walked in at that time. I came back from Christmas break, and I had a large number of demerits on this list. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I wasn't even, I was stuck on, I was a sophomore, 19, 20 years old. And I was just like, fuck this. I quit, just having that, fucking punk mindset. And I remember I walked down, the colonel was like the dean. He had like all these ribbons. And I'm just like, I quit. I said, I look back, he's a badass motherfucker. And he's like, you're going to quit and everything in life. And all that shit. And I just kind of got in my car and I said, this is Brian's Rock and Roll Tour. So I went home, my friend's college, just slept on couches, partied. And I got home I was home for a year, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing in life? So I was like, I'm going to join the Marines infantry. Hell yeah. That sounds good. And I went and signed up, and that's kind of how I ended up in the Marine Corps. We all have our stories. We're all kind of similar paths of, USMC, Uncle Sam's Misguided Children. And, it's, I was a horrible kid growing up, arrested, and I got sent away junior year in high school to this reform school up in New York, where it was just pretty much like a juvenile detention. And yeah, man, we all kind of have a similar paths. A lot of Marines I talked to.
Did you get fixed real quick?
From what?
When you got to the island?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember, boot camp stories are the worst, but our J-Hat used to fucking walk around going, I didn't invite you to come here. You wanted to fucking come here. He goes, if you leave, it means nothing to me. He goes, if you graduate, I'm happy. If you don't, fuck it. And it's like, Jesus, like, talk about, a fucking getting slapped in the face by life of like, man, I chose this.
Right.
Like, it's not like, oh, the Marine Corps is a good option. It's like, no, I wanted to be a fucking Marine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's, I still think SOI was fucking the worst. And, I don't really I don't know, like boot camp really doesn't like, besides staying there, I say an extended stay at a 4-star hotel, but it really wasn't, stuff. It was really the, deployments and stuff that really, people are always like, boot camp was the life lesson. I'm like, nah, fuck no.
I think boot camp was the easiest part because there's always somebody telling you what to do. You always know what you.
Well, that's the Marine Corps, right? That's the Marine Corps. So this is where we struggle. We have a purpose. We have our brothers. We have, our days are set, and then we get out, and it's like, I went, I didn't know what the fuck to do, so I went and hiked the Appalachian Trail up northeast for 350 miles, and I got home, went to, everyone did a college thing, and I thought I was better than everybody, but I had that, like, I'm a vet, me,
Yeah.
and
You don't know shit. I seen
right.
some shit, man.
I was just a fucking jerk off. So, and I didn't try to connect with anybody, and then that's where I started spiraling out of control. I got into drugs. I got arrested for fighting. I had a couple suicidal thoughts, and a rough day and rough nights, and just drinking myself, to to the only thing we knew was drinking. That helps, right? I'm gonna self-medicate. And then over time, I started going to therapy, and then in and out of therapy, and how it goes. And I have to say, though, is the podcast and therapy has been the fucking best. I kind of found that, like, purpose again, talking to other vets.
Yeah. I feel I would get blackout drunk basically every night to fucking fall asleep. Like, that's how I fell asleep. Was I'm still awake, so I'm not drunk enough, and I'd fucking pound a few more beers and fucking pass
self-destruct out. Yeah.
And then I got out, and the paycheck stopped, and I had been married. I got married 3 weeks before I got out, and I was like, fuck, now I have to
only 3 weeks before you got out. Did you do that for the paycheck? No, right?
No, I didn't tell anybody in the I didn't tell in my chain of command anything.
Bro, you hit the fucking civilian world running.
Yeah, but
God, I can't even imagine.
Like, I went. I graduated in June from high school, June of 2007, and I was in boot camp the end of July of 2007. So I had like a month and a half of like experience in the world, and the rest of my basically the 4 years was in the Marine Corps.
Well, you think about that, right? Like, the years that you joined the Marine Corps, we're still developing the brain, right? And
yeah,
a guest that came on, Jason Delgado, talked about this. He goes, we were brought up in a warrior culture, right? Talk shit, you get hit. Like, it was just a different way we got raised, and that's where we kind of matured into men, and we became men, and through our situations wherever we went through, and we get out, and it's just like, holy fucking shit. We didn't, we're not really trained. I think it's a lot better now. I don't know. I can't talk to it, but I'll talk about my situation. Is I was so quick to get out, and all of a sudden I got out. I'm like fucking holding my dick in the wind. It's like, what am I doing there?
Well, yeah. I mean, I turned 18 in boot camp. I turned 19 in Iraq. I was on duty my 20th birthday, and I turned 21 on my second deployment. And it was like, I got out, and there's nobody telling you what to do. There's like, for the if you want to stay in bed all day and not do anything, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And
which we all, which I did in the beginning, collect the unemployment.
Yeah.
Be that fucking civilian we all talk shit about, and just
I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and then you're like, fuck.
No fucking plan. No plan.
And being freshly married, and then finding out that we're gonna have a baby, and it was like, fuck. Like, my son was born 9 months to the day that I got out.
Do you think having the son saved you, like, gave you a purpose?
So me and him really didn't connect, or I should say I didn't connect with him until he was probably fucking 2, because I was stuck in my own head so much. I was I was dealing with my own shit, and it was something that I learned in the Marine Corps was, don't get too close to people, because then it hurts more when they leave, or when they die, or when they get hurt, whatever happens, right? So until I ended up in 2014 in a inpatient facility here in Menlo Park, and I was there for like 96 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, fuck, dude, like
by your choice.
Yeah. Because I was doing the weekly counseling and the weekly shit, but it was just so easy to call and be like, yeah, I'm not coming today.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, I had a moment too where, I woke up in a jail cell and, assault charges. And I'm like, wow, I really gotta get my fucking shit together.
Yeah.
Like, it scared the shit out of me. I was so drunk. I woke up and I'm like, am I really in a fucking jail cell right now, man, for fighting? Like, I got, get therapy. I got my dog here. It's been with me post Mister, my black lab. And it's just, did you have like a moment where you're like, I gotta fucking change?
Yeah, it was, I had basically checked out of everything. I was here physically, but I wasn't here mentally.
Right.
And it was like, just kind of, I was, the way I describe it is I was just coasting. I was
Mm-hmm.
fucking, I put cruise control on and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, is this really, when I'm fucking 80 years old, do I want to sit back and be like, man, that 15, 20 years or whatever, I just coasted?
That's a fear of mine, man, is once you start like, living in your own feet. And it's like, I don't want to be that dude when I'm on my deathbed and I see, say there's like a glass, right? And you see this other version of you that changed and didn't give a fuck and did shit that you wanted to do, because life is so fucking precious, Now I sound like fucking Tony Robbins, but that's the biggest fear, man. Imagine like in your deathbed being like, I could have done so much more, but I
Yeah.
just fucking, I don't know, man. That scares the shit out of me, man. And we got to live for those that aren't here anymore, our brothers, and life's fucking good, man. I get to fucking breathe every day, and I get to walk, and should just kind of be grateful for the things we have. We so focused on the shitty things we don't, and it's all mindset too. And the my boy who inspired me to the podcast got me thinking like positive thoughts, and I'm a firm believer in, you think positive shit happens. And if you're just negative all the time, it's like all bad shit happens all the time. And it's mindset's huge, and definitely the circle you're in.
Yeah. So, I think one of the main factor for me, deciding to really change and to really kind of step up was one of the guys that I have, I've been buddies with since SOI. We were same platoon in SOI. We were the same company for 2 deployments. He lived, or he still lives 45 minutes from me. So whenever he would drive home on like a 96, I would ride with him, stuff like that. And he re-enlisted during our second deployment, and he ended up going to, I think it was 3-7 and 29 Palms, and they went to Afghanistan, and fucking he saw some shit. They were in the Sangin Valley, and he came home and we were just talking, and I was like, dude, like I was able to see the change in him from that I had known to, through 2 deployments and all the bullshit working parties, all the shit that the Marine Corps throws at you, to see kind of like, man, like something changed in you. And he's like, dude, if you would, he sat down and he kind of explained some of the stuff that he had been through in Afghanistan and stuff like that. And I was like, fuck, dude. And he's like, he told me, he goes, I can see the change in you. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't, I got out. And he's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean you didn't fucking change. He's like, I was always happy. I was always joking. I was always fucking, no matter how shitty the situation was, I would be the guy that would crack the joke, and some staff sergeant would be like, shut the fuck up. And I would be like, but the guys around me, would laugh a little bit and kind of raise the situation up. And that's when, it was kind of a hard pill to swallow when he's like, you're not that dude anymore. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, when you spiral out of control, it's hard to see, it's definitely is. And sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to
I
figure
will
that
say,
out.
if I would not have quit, because I quit drinking basically, the same week that I got out, just because I couldn't afford it anymore. That's, I guess, the bad part about drinking so heavily is your tolerance gets so high that it costs a lot to get fucking drunk.
Right. Right.
Which, in the Marine Corps, you're a high bar tab as a badge of honor, but then you realize, like, fuck, dude, I had to spend that much to get fucked up. Like,
yeah, man.
And I decided I wasn't going to suck dick for alcohol. So
Why not? That sounds like, that sounds like a good occupation, right? Why
yeah.
not?
But I was like, if I had not quit drinking, I probably wouldn't be here. I would probably, if the way that the headspace that I was in, and then if you add alcohol into that, and then the freedom to go out and do whatever the fuck I wanted, I would be
Right.
in prison or dead.
Right. Hey, just when you edit this, I just have to roll in 10 minutes. I don't know if you want to edit that part out, just so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to just.
Oh,
Yeah,
no problem.
so.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we can
Loving this
edit.
conversation too, by the way, man. Love it.
Yeah. We'll do our little closing shits.
What do you? Sorry.
What's up? No, go for it.
What do you guys use for like editing and stuff?
I use Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah, that's what I learned all that shit. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm still learning it. As you can see, I have my green screen up. This is going to be the first one with the green screen. I'm going to try to put something
man.
Cool. I'm just
awesome.
Just learning the shit as it comes along. I started on our first few episodes was on like the free video editing app that comes with the computer. Right. And I was like,
I did too. It's cool to see how, like, if you go back to like my original post, the videos and stuff, I use like the movie video editor.
Yeah.
And then it's cool because I love doing this too, because it gives me like a hobby too, to learn different shit. So during lockdown, I learned like all the Adobe Premiere, all the Adobe Edition, and it's that's another thing too, man. I love learning, and these podcasts too, like that. And
our first like 5 or 6 episodes doesn't even have video. It's just
I didn't have video until last July. So I just launched the YouTube page, and people were like, yeah, I was like nervous to like do video, and it's like, and then as I did it, one another thing, I was like, oh, it's a lot more enjoyable to watch a podcast with video,
Yeah. And that was a big thing. Like I had to convince the other dudes that come on, like, no, dude, like people can look at you in your face and see your meaning behind what you're saying. And,
right.
Especially, I try to tell jokes and they don't always land. So people think I'm serious. And it's like, no, if you could see me, you would see that I was fucking laughing or smiling when I said that.
Right. You say like a fucking dirty joke and it's just silent and nobody sees it. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, fucking get over it.
Yeah, we can cut it here and fucking,
Yeah, I wanna get. Yeah, that's cool, man. I want to get a picture though. Screenshot.
Definitely.
We'll do that after we stop recording too.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I'd fucking love to have you on again. I think my co-host would like to talk to you. I call him my co-host, but fucking whatever.
100%, man. I'm happy we connected, and keep doing your thing, man. Do you, and this is awesome. And by having conversations, you'll be amazed by who you impact, and it's awesome to hear that you're reconnecting with people, and it's making an impact on you. I can tell in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I'm a fan of your shit.
Thanks, man.
And I'll send you some contact info for some dudes that I think you could have a good conversation with.
Yeah, man. Likewise too. I got some dudes I'll send your way.
Yeah. So I'll probably edit this part out starting now. But I'll stop the recording now and we can get the picture.
Cool. Yeah.